I'm a grown man who loves ballet, and I've never told my friends I'm 29. I bench over 200. I've changed tires on the side of the highway, played rugby in college, can gut a fish, and once drank an entire six-pack before halftime at a Super Bowl party. To most people, I'm what you'd call a regular dude. And I guess I play the part well. I've got the beard, the tools, the playlists full of classic rock and gym metal. I say, bro, too much. I laugh at bad action movies. And I've never once admitted the thing that I actually, secretly love the most. I love ballet, and not just respect it. I mean love it. I've been obsessed since I was maybe 14. I saw a clip of Swan Lake online, not the whole show, just a snippet. A solo, a man moving like every part of his body knew something the rest of us didn't. It didn't look delicate, it looked dangerous, controlled, furious and flawless all at once. And that was it. I was hooked. I started watching secretly, first YouTube clips, then full performances. I even downloaded some on my old iPod just so I could rewatch them offline, in bed, under the covers. I knew it wasn't normal. I didn't care, but I also didn't tell anyone. Because I already knew what the reactions would be. I grew up with boys who mocked anything artsy. Who said dance was for girls, or gay, or some frilly sh*t. And I didn't have it in me to deal with that. So I kept it private. Ballet became my own personal escape hatch. When the world felt loud, I'd put in my earbuds and rewatch Baryshnikov jump like gravity didn't apply to him. Or Zaharova turning slowly, arms like water, face like marble. And everything else, the stress, the noise, the pressure to be a man, just stopped for a bit. I've never been to a live performance. Not because I don't want to, God, I do. But because I don't know how to explain it to the people around me. Hey bro, I'm skipping the game to catch Don Quixote at the theater, doesn't go over well in my world. And yeah, I know, I shouldn't care what people think. But I do, because the people I hang out with, they don't do vulnerability, they don't do softness, beauty, grace. They do shots, and sarcasm, and pushing feelings down until they rot. And I'm not ready to be the one guy in that group who suddenly says, hey, did you know ballerinas are stronger than most of us at the gym? Or, I cried watching a pas de deux last night and it was awesome. So I just don't say anything. But I wish I could. Because it's the only time I feel fully present. No pressure, no act, just movement, emotion, music, something pure. It's the only thing I love that isn't connected to trying to impress someone. Or prove something, or be a certain kind of man. It's just for me, and maybe that makes it even more precious. So yeah, I'm a regular guy, who's in love with ballet. And nobody knows. But when I'm alone, and the lights are off, and the music plays, I don't feel weird, I feel whole. Everyone thinks I'm the funny one, but I'm only funny because I'm terrified to be real. If I die tomorrow, people will probably remember me as the funny guy. That one friend who always had something sarcastic to say. The group clown, the mood lightener, the guy who made people laugh even when everything sucked. And maybe that sounds like a compliment, like a badge of honor. But I'm telling you now, it's not. It's a mask, it's armor, it's something I built so long ago I honestly don't remember who I was before it. Everyone thinks I'm the funny one. But the truth is, I'm just scared out of my F*** king mind to be real with people. When I was a kid, my parents fought like it was their second job. It wasn't even about anything. Just noise, dishes slamming, doors closing too hard, whispers that turned into yelling in the other room while I sat with cartoons on full volume, pretending I couldn't hear anything. I hated it, but worse than the yelling was the silence after. The cold, numb space where everyone walked around like strangers. No one apologized, no one explained, it just reset. Until the next time. I remember one afternoon, I was like 7 or 8, they had one of those fights. And when my mom walked into the living room, her eyes were red and I panicked. So I stood up on the coffee table and did this stupid dance from a cereal commercial. I made a face, she laughed, and that laugh, that became addiction-level dopamine to me. I thought, I can fix this. I can fix everything, if I'm just funny enough. So I kept doing it. By middle school, I had a full routine. Voices, characters, self-deprecating jokes. I was the kid teachers loved because I made their jobs easier. The kid other kids loved because I could make a bad day feel like a punchline. And on the inside, I was already exhausted. Because the moment I stopped performing, the moment I was just quiet, people got uncomfortable. Like they expected the funny monkey to keep dancing, and when he didn't, something felt wrong. So I danced, and danced, and danced, even when I wanted to cry, even when my chest felt like a rock, even when no one was laughing back. In high school, it got worse. I became that guy. The one in every friend group who seems okay. Who's always on. The guy who roasts you so good you forget you were sad. The guy who makes fun of his own trauma so no one else tries to touch it. And I made it work. I leaned in, got funnier, sharper, louder. I became the human version of a coping mechanism for everyone around me. But here's the part that no one sees. I can't remember the last time someone asked me how I was. And I mean really asked. Not the polite, "Hey, how's it going?" stuff. I mean someone looking me in the eyes and saying, "Are you okay?" Like, actually? And maybe that's on me. Because I've trained everyone not to ask. I built the bit so tight they don't even think I have bad days. Why would they? I'm the one sending dumb memes at 3 a.m. I'm the one texting, "lol gonna KMS," and following it with a gif so no one worries. I'm the one who says, "It is what it is," like that's an emotionally stable sentence. But the truth is, sometimes I cry in the shower so no one hears me. Sometimes I replay the same negative thought 45 times before I even get out of bed. Sometimes I look in the mirror and don't recognize the dude smiling back, because I know it's fake. One night changed everything for me. Not in a movie kind of way. No dramatic breakdown, just stillness. I was on a date with this girl. I really liked her, actually liked her. And things were going okay, but at some point I felt awkward, like she was getting too close. Too real, and so I defaulted, made jokes, deflected, mocked myself, played the idiot, and she just looked at me, dead serious, and asked, "Do you ever stop performing?" I didn't know what to say, because I didn't know how. She didn't get angry, she didn't lecture me, she just sort of looked sad. Like she saw the glitch in my system and didn't want to force it, but also couldn't unsee it. She left. I drove home in silence. No music, no podcast, just me and the sound of my own breath. And then I sat in my car outside my apartment for 45 minutes and cried harder than I had in years. Not because of her, but because I realized I didn't know what version of me was real anymore. Since then, I've tried to do better. I still make people laugh, it's in me. I love it, truly. But I also try to pause sometimes. To say, "Today was hard," without turning it into a joke. To sit in silence with a friend without rushing to fill it. To ask others how they are, but mean it. And maybe one day someone will ask me the same. And I'll be brave enough to answer honestly. So yeah, everyone thinks I'm the funny one. But the truth is, I'm only funny because I'm terrified to show people what happens when I'm not. Because if I ever stop making people laugh, I'm scared they'll leave before they see what else there is. I was the perfect daughter, and IF*C King hated every second of it. I was the good one. The one people pointed to. The safe bet, the girl you could trust to water your plants, turn in her assignments early, and never say anything mean at the dinner table. I followed the rules before I even understood why they existed. Straight A's, never skipped class, did the chores before being asked. Didn't date, didn't swear, didn't sneak out. I smiled in every photo like my life was a commercial. And everyone loved me for it. "She's so mature for her age. She's so put together. You must be so proud." They were. And I hated it. It didn't start from a place of pressure. No one threatened me. No one yelled. It was subtler than that. It was the look my mom gave my older brother when he messed up. That look that said, "You've ruined something." It was the silence after bad grades. The fake smiles when something disappointed her. The casual remarks like, "At least you don't give me headaches like your brother does." So I made it my job to be the relief. The easy child. The one who didn't make waves. And it worked. She praised me. She trusted me. She bragged about me at church. So I doubled down, because being good was the only way I knew how to be loved. But good comes with a price. Because when you're always okay, people stop checking in. They assume you've got it handled. They don't ask how you're doing, because you're the one who asks them. You're the one who listens, supports, lifts others up, and you know what no one tells you. When you're the foundation, no one expects you to crack. So when you do, they don't know what to do with you. By the time I was 16, I didn't even know what I liked. I didn't know if I liked the books I read or if I just picked what seemed smart. I didn't know if I liked volunteering or just liked the approval that came with it. I didn't know if I wanted to go to law school, or if I just liked the way my mom's eyes lit up when I talked about it. I didn't know how to want anything for myself. I just knew how to perform. The thing is, when you spend your whole life trying not to be a burden, you start believing that being yourself is a burden. So you shrink. I shrank in friendships, always letting others choose the movie, the restaurant, the plans. I shrank in relationships, saying yes when I wanted to say no, apologizing for crying, laughing at jokes that made me uncomfortable. I shrank in my own F*** king skin, smiling so hard it hurt, being so accommodating it made me sick, saying, "It's okay," when it wasn't, just so no one would feel bad. When I got to college, people called me the mom friend. I always had Advil, gum, extra tampons. I remembered birthdays. I sent long, sweet texts to people when they were sad. But I never told anyone when I was sad, because I didn't want to ruin the image. I was the girl who had it all together. Even when I was breaking. I had my first breakdown in sophomore year. Alone in a dorm room, 3 a.m., sitting on the floor because my bed felt too big and too loud. I had just gotten a 92 on a paper I'd spent 2 weeks writing. And instead of being proud, I panicked. I thought, what if the next one is lower? What if this is the start of my decline? I couldn't breathe. My roommate walked in, and I snapped back into the role. Laughed, made a joke, said, "Guess I'm just a little dramatic tonight." She smiled and said, "Classic you." I wanted to scream. After college, I got a job I didn't care about. I wore blazers, sat in meetings, said, yes, too much. My boss called me low maintenance. I died a little every time. My parents said they were proud. I said, thank you. And started Googling how to know what you actually want. The first time I said no to something small, a group dinner I didn't want to attend, I felt physically ill. Like I had violated some sacred law. Like someone was going to show up and drag me back to the altar of politeness and performance. But no one did, no one cared, and that made me cry more than if they had. Now I'm 27, I've stopped pretending I want to go to law school. I dye my hair how I like it. I say, no, sometimes, and mean it. I even started telling people when I'm not okay. Not everyone handles it well. Some seem confused, some get uncomfortable, some like me more when I was easy. But the ones who stay, the ones who say, thanks for being honest, they're the ones I'm learning to trust. So yeah, I was the perfect daughter. But not because I wanted to be. Because I was too scared to be anything else. And now I'm just trying to figure out what it means to be a person, not a role. I saw my mom cheat on my dad when I was 12, and I never told anyone. Not even her. This isn't a dramatic story. No yelling, no slammed doors, no confessions. It didn't explode. It just happened, quietly, slipped into my life and never left. When people talk about childhood trauma, they usually talk about what was done to them. Abuse, neglect, something physical, something obvious. Mine was different. I saw my mom cheat on my dad when I was 12. And no one knows. To this day, not my dad, not my sister, not even her. It was summer. That kind of heavy, sticky, suburban summer where everything smells like grass clippings and laundry detergent. I was home alone. School was out, my dad was at work, my older sister was at camp. I was bored, wandering around in pajamas, eating dry cereal with my hand from the box like a raccoon. My mom said she was going out to run errands. She left in a hurry. She always moved a little faster when she was lying. I didn't realize it yet. But that would become a pattern I'd start noticing years later. She forgot her phone, left it on the kitchen table next to her sunglasses. I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't one of those nosy kids. I didn't sneak into her purse or check her texts. I genuinely didn't care, until the screen lit up. Just a buzz, one message, from someone named Nathan. I almost didn't read it. Almost. But I did. Same time today? I can't stop thinking about yesterday. Yellow heart. I blinked. I read it again. I wasn't even sure what it meant at first. I was 12, I'd seen crushes, watched romantic comedies, knew what kissing was, but this felt different. He wasn't my dad, I'd never heard his name before. I remember thinking, why is he sending hearts? I opened the thread, I don't know how long I scrolled. There were photos, Nothing nude, just flirty. There were jokes, inside jokes. There were references to last night, and when we finally leave, and things I didn't understand but that made my stomach hurt. One message said, "He doesn't see it. He never sees it." I remember that one, word for word. It felt like a secret knife pointed at my dad's back. I sat there with the phone in my lap, my heart pounding so loud it felt like it echoed off the kitchen walls. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I just froze. It was like my body knew before my brain did. This is going to change you. And it did. After that, I started watching her differently. Every smile, every laugh, every excuse. I noticed how she turned her phone over when my dad came into the room. How she suddenly got very into yoga, but never looked sore after. How she always came home with new makeup she never used. I kept the secret. Every day, we'd sit at dinner. Me, my mom, my dad, eating pasta and talking about nothing. And I'd feel this thing sitting in my chest. Like a second version of me. One that wanted to stand up and yell, "How can you just sit here?" But I didn't say anything. I was 12, and scared. They never divorced. They still haven't. It's been 15 years. I don't know if my dad ever found out. I don't know if she stopped seeing Nathan. Or if there were more Nathans. She still posts anniversary pictures every year on Facebook. Captions like, 25 years with my best friend RedditHard. I scroll past them like they're fiction. That one afternoon rewired something in me. Something deep. Now, as an adult, I find myself doing things I can't always explain. I panic if my partner keeps their phone screen down. I feel sick when someone says, "Trust me." I overthink every joke, every smile, every gap in conversation. When someone I love is too quiet, I assume the worst. I don't believe in forever. Not because I'm cynical, but because I watched the illusion die when I was still a kid in a blue tank top whose feet didn't touch the kitchen floor. There was one night, I was 24, when I almost told her. We were sitting at the counter, drinking wine. She was a little tipsy, rambling about how hard marriage can be. She said something like, "I think it's brave to stay. To keep choosing someone. It's not always easy, you know?" And I just stared at her, wondering if that speech was for me, or for herself. Wondering if she knew I knew. I opened my mouth. I almost said, "I saw your texts. I know about him. You lied to all of us." But I didn't, because even now, even as a grown woman, part of me is still that scared little girl, holding her mom's phone like it was a live grenade. I don't know what I would have wanted her to say. Maybe she would have denied it. Maybe she would have cried and told me her own life felt small. Maybe she would have told me she regretted everything. Or maybe, worse, she would have said, "It wasn't your business." And maybe she'd be right. But I still live with it. With that invisible crack running through every relationship I've ever had. So yeah, that's what I've never told anyone. Not because I wanted to protect her. Not because I wanted to protect him. But because once you say it out loud, once it becomes real, you can't ever go back. And for some reason, I've never been brave enough to break the lie we all agreed not to name. I slept with my dead best friend's girlfriend. Then I lost her too. I've never told this to anyone. Not to my friends, not to a therapist, not even to myself, really. Just fragments. Brief flashes of memory I shove back down when they come too close to the surface. But it's been 3 years now. And the silence feels heavier than the truth. So here it is. I slept with my best friend's girlfriend. After he died, not immediately, but sooner than it should have happened. Too soon. We were a trio, me, Ryan, and Emily. Met at 17, in that dumb way teenagers become lifelong friends. Same campus, same meme group chat, same nervous energy about growing up. We clicked like magnets, slept over at each other's places, shared playlists, trauma dumped while sitting on balconies at 3 a.m. smoking rolled-up tea bags when we didn't have cigarettes. Ryan was the center of it. He had that gravity. He was funny, loud, confident in the way people pretend to be but never really are. But with him, it felt real. He had this wild laugh that could break tension in a room like a window cracking in silence. Girls liked him, Emily loved him, and I was just there, the best friend, the extra chair. The guy who watched them fall in love and smiled like it didn't break him a little every time she leaned on his shoulder instead of mine. I never told him, never told her, just swallowed it and stayed close. Better near and hurting than alone and forgotten, right? They dated for 3 years. They fought like lunatics, Loved like teenagers. Were off at least 5 times but always came back to each other like waves returning to shore. I stayed quiet. I stayed present. I helped them patch things up more than once. I told myself that was loyalty. That was friendship. Then Ryan died. May. Dry weather. He'd just gotten the bike 2 weeks earlier. He was so proud of it. Said it made him feel alive again after a rough few months. He crashed on a curve. The truck driver didn't even brake. I was the second person Emily called. Her voice didn't sound like hers. It was small, compressed, like someone trying not to wake up a monster. I drove to the hospital in silence. Held her hand while she filled out papers. Waited outside the morgue while she went in. Then we sat in my car and didn't speak for 4 hours. Just sat, headlights off, phones dead, her fingers wrapped around mine like she was afraid she might disappear too. That was the first night she stayed over. At first, nothing happened. Just silence. She slept in my bed. I took the floor. We didn't talk much, but we breathed the same air. She'd wake up gasping sometimes. Panic attacks. I'd hold her hand until she calmed down. She stopped wearing makeup, ate cereal out of the box, stared at walls. I didn't try anything. I swear to God, I wasn't waiting. It wasn't like that. We were just broken in the same room. And then one night, she kissed me. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't even sexual, at first. It was desperate, like someone reaching out in the dark, hoping there's another person on the other side. I kissed her back. She cried while it happened. Afterward, she curled into my chest and fell asleep like she hadn't slept in weeks. We had sex a few days later. It wasn't good. It wasn't sweet. It just was. We didn't talk about it. She kept coming over, sometimes stayed for days. We never called it anything. Never held hands in public. We just existed, in this weird limbo between grief and guilt. No one knew. Her friends thought we were coping together. Her mom thanked me for being there. I hated myself a little more every time someone said that. But I didn't stop, because part of me, the darkest part, felt like I'd finally stolen something that had always belonged to someone else. Like I'd broken into a room I'd been staring at through a window for years. And I liked being inside. Even if it was wrong. Even if it wouldn't last. And it didn't. About a month in, Emily changed. She got quiet, not grieving quiet, different, distant, sharp, tired. I asked if she was okay. She said, "Are we pretending this is love?" And I didn't know how to answer. A few days later, she stopped replying to texts. I showed up at her apartment. She opened the door, still in my hoodie. She looked at me, not angry, not sad. Just empty. Then she said, "When I'm with you, I feel like I betrayed him twice." And closed the door. That was the last time I saw her. 3 years ago. I don't know if I loved her. I don't know if she loved me, or just loved who I reminded her of. Maybe we were both just clawing at something that didn't exist anymore. Maybe we used each other to stay afloat in the aftermath. But I think I knew, even then, she was trying to get closer to Ryan. And I was trying to become him. And in the end, we both lost. I lost them both, one to death, the other to memory. And I never told anyone. Until now.